Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the strippers and cocaine guy.
Derek Lemaster is your name. And this is Screenplay Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news. And like clockwork, Derek said some weird shit to open up the episode. What are you talking about?
Dude, have you guys ever seen that interview that the news anchors were doing at the local gas station? It was for like a major jackpot, a lottery jackpot. And they're like, sir, what
Yes.
would you do with the money if you win? He was like, spend it on strippers and cocaine. And the lady quickly pulled the mic away and was like, back to you guys.
Yeah, so
his wife made him do a follow-up interview, and she was like, yeah, he's a real smart ass. Like, he didn't really need that.
That's hilarious.
So let me walk through this thought process. You watch that video, and then you're like, I know exactly how I'm going to open this week's show when we're talking about the horror of Dracula.
Strippers and cocaine, man. Right.
Nothing says Hammer Films like strippers and cocaine, baby. Though, to be fair, there is the stripper part. We have a bunch of Hammer Glamour girls here. This is the start of Hammer Glamour. So we see a bunch of low-cut tops with some cleavage spilling out. That's a Hammer trademark. We're going to see more and more of it. It's excellent. Hammer Films. Stamp of approval. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
Terrible.
Oh, that's not good.
I feel like I've had the most inconvenient day of my life. Just like little things.
Aw.
You know what I mean? Like I went to like leave the house. Like it already had been like all inconvenient, but like I left the house and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like treat myself to some McDonald's. And I get to McDonald's and realize I left my wallet at home. Like it was like just chain reaction of events that were just completely inconvenient. And then to prove it, my internet just stopped working as we're trying to record.
Hey.
I've just had nothing but trouble. How about you guys?
There. I'm good tonight, but I've been there. Actually, the other day, I went to go get us some breakfast, and Sarah had already paid for the breakfast, so I just had to pick it up. It was at a local restaurant here. And I said, hey, do you want me to go get some drinks while we're out? And she's like, yeah. So I was going to get us some coffees. So I stopped at the local coffee place, so drive-through coffee place, and I ordered my drink, and as I'm pulling up to the window, I realized I left my wallet at home. So I said, hey, do you take Apple Cash? And she said, no. I said, don't make any of the drinks. I'll be back. I drove all the way home, grabbed my wallet. Sarah's like, well, just don't worry about it. You don't have to go back out. I said, you don't understand, babe. I've told her I'd be back. And I don't want her to think I don't have money to pay for this. So I drove back, was like, hey, remember me? I want those 2 coffees. So, it happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we have a lot to talk about today. We're doing the Hammer, our first Hammer movie, guys. This is the second of the starting the Hammer cycle with the horror of Dracula, or as it's known in the UK, Dracula. So this is the start of our Hammer horror cycle. It was, of course, named Horror of Dracula, so it didn't get people confused with the Todd Browning's Dracula, the Bela Lugosi version, because this was like the first real Dracula since then. But before we dive into it in all of its gothic horror beauty, let's race into the horror news. Because we've got some stuff here. Let's start with a bit of sad news. Chucky has been canceled at Sci-Fi after 3 seasons.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, Don Mancini released the statement about it. This happened last week on Friday. So, we won't be getting a 4th season, but he said that Chucky will return. He always comes back. So, of course, we haven't seen the last of Chucky. Don Mancini, kind of owns these rights at this point, I think. I don't know if he necessarily outright owns it, but He's a driving force. He's written every single iteration of Chucky. That's not the remake, obviously. So that's sad, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Bummer.
Yep.
Um,
Reminds me of a
Remem-
Chumbawamba song.
Tub thumping.
Yeah. They only have one song, I think. I don't think they did anything else. You know,
I mean, I
get
think
knocked
there's
down,
other
but I get up
songs
again.
on that record, but I don't know what they were.
I'm pretty sure it was just a single, and that's the only thing they played at their shows.
I know
Yeah.
it wasn't because my brother actually had that CD, which is hilarious. Last week we talked about James Wan and him doing a creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know if this was last week, but a few weeks ago. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a writer attached to it now. Sean Tretta, who wrote the Mayans PC in Star Trek Picard, is doing the screenplay based off of a treatment by James Wan, Raphael Jordan, and Brian Cohn. Also, Sean Tretta is the husband of hang on, Drew looks like a big blank all of a sudden. Tiffany Shepis, and the father of Mia Tretta.
All right, who are these people?
You know who all of them are. Well, you know who Tiffany Shepis is. She's from Hatchet 4.
Oh,
She's the one. You know who I'm talking about. The one that's pregnant.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Can't picture her, but I think I know what you're talking about.
You know
I did
Tiffany
see Hatchet
Shepis.
4.
Yes, you have seen Hatchet 4. It's called Victor Crowley. So this is good news that this project is moving forward. What do you guys think?
Big thumbs up. For sure.
What are we talking about? The James Wan thing?
Yeah, it's the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. Sorry, the Hatchet thing threw me off. I was like, what are we saying now?
We went on a tangent.
I have like too many tabs open in my brain, I think.
Memory overload.
Yeah. It's like my brain is as slow as my internet right now.
So I've got some so you guys see obviously that the Nosferatu trailer is out.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
Yes. Did you watch it yet, Lydia?
I did, yes.
It's great. Looks great, of course.
Yeah.
Looks real
course. Good. But here's something interesting. Somebody else is doing a Nosferatu movie. It was announced way back in 2016. David Lee Fisher was directing a new take on Nosferatu, and it's finally here 8 years later, starring Doug Jones as Count Orlok. It's called Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, a remix of the 22 original with new actors, dialogue, sound, and music score. It's going to be premiering on October 18th on Apple TV. Not to be confused with of course, the new one. This is an indie black and white homage to the original movie, starring Doug Jones.
Love Doug Jones.
Of course we love Doug Jones. He plays Abe, Derek, in the Hellboy movies.
And Billy Butcherson.
Mm-hmm.
And countless other characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
You know what I wish that they would do? I wish that they would, and Jamie, this might be a project you and I have to work on, but I wish that they would make a Count Chocula movie.
That's a good idea, actually. I like that.
So, moving on. Guys, we've got a release date for Scream 7. Its release date is February of 2026. February 27th of 2026 to be exact. Of course, directed by Kevin Williamson and written by Guy Busick. So, what are you guys' thoughts? We don't know a lot still. Just Sydney's back. Gail might be coming back. It's kind of all we know.
Mm-hmm. I heard that she wants David Arquette to come back.
Correct. And there's a lot of who knows what's going on with these things? But hey, I'm down for any. Obviously, we're gonna go see Scream 7. Duh. But yeah, that's good. That's all the. At least we know it's moving forward because we have an actual release date. That's great. I got some bit of news for you, Lydia. Guess what's out?
What?
On November 15th, sharing on Shudder and AMC, we have The Creep Tapes.
The Creep Tapes.
Yes, it's the TV series of Creep.
Oh, great.
Yeah. That's why I laughed.
That was so promising for a second.
It's something that Lydia is absolutely terrified of. The Creep Tapes.
Not a fan of that movie. It's too scary.
I've never seen that movie.
We'll have to do it for the show. It's really good. But Mark Duplass is back, and Patrick Bryce is back as the... or is he back? Let's see. We know Mark Duplass is back, obviously. But, yeah. It's coming. It's an expansion of the films. It is premiering on November 15th on Shudder and AMC+.
Who on earth would watch that? I don't know.
I'll watch it. I've watched both movies, and have you seen the second one, Lydia?
No. Why would I watch the second one?
Good point. I didn't figure you did. Derek, we have to watch those. We'll have to watch those. And then this last bit of news is kind of sad news for us. So Robert Englund was he's doing the rounds for the 40th, by the way, guys, 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, and its 4K release. And he was asked about if he'll play Freddy again, and he said no.
Wow.
He said that he is too old, basically. He just doesn't think he's physically able to play him anymore. He said, "There's no Freddy left in me. I could possibly voice a high-end animated version. That would be nice to do, but I know I can't do the fight scenes more than one take now, one angle. I just can't be snapping my head or anything like that. I'm an old dog. Give me a break." He smiles.
Aww.
So we've seen the end of Robert as Freddy, unless they do I would be down for an animated thing. I mean, I'd be down for any sort of Nightmare on Elm Street fucking content, to be perfectly honest. But I'd watch an animated thing if Robert was doing it. Just like I'm really pulling for this animated, Evil Dead, so we can just have Ash as Bruce till the end of time.
Yeah. I wonder if they would do a video game. Have they ever done a Nightmare video game?
They have not.
They have not. I mean, I'm sure they have
They have there's an NES game that's special. I remember vividly renting that from the video store. Vividly. Because I saw it. I remember we were in Video West, and I remember meeting eyes with it, and just I was a little kid, and I was like, "Dad, we've got to rent the Freddy game." And we rented it, and it was not good.
Yeah.
It's fine, but as a little kid, I wanted to be Freddy, and he's barely there, and you're just fighting bats and shit, punching snakes in the face, and you're like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Freddy."
Imagine if they made a super realistic, immersive game they have nowadays. Of going into different dreams.
That would be awesome.
Escaping. Would that be cool?
Yeah. It'd be cool to do it like Friday the 13th, where you can be Freddy as well.
Yeah, that would be really crazy.
Jamie Go ahead.
I was going to say they did a Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy has been in Dead by Daylight and stuff like that, but they haven't had a Freddy focused game. Go ahead, Derek. You were saying?
So Jamie and I, as kind of an exercise or a hope and a dream, he and I broke down a story for Nightmare on Elm Street, and I actually think we had a really great way to kind of transition. If I'm remembering it correctly, bring us back to Springfield and also transition to a new iteration. Like we had a good plan.
Yeah, we did, but that it all relied on Robert Englund being Freddy. So
No, I thought we had a sequence in there where we like transitioned. If I don't,
we
if I'm
do,
recalling.
but
If he could come back for the one or two scenes to like give us the transition that we talked about, that would be a proper send off.
I suppose, yeah,
I still have the outline in OneNote.
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I actually I started writing that script. I wrote most of it. We had all the
Did I
characters
say?
break down. I knew how
Yeah.
everybody died and all that good stuff.
Did I say Springfield? It was Springwood, right?
Springwood.
Yeah.
The Springwood slasher. All right, guys. That wraps up the horror news. Bye-bye, horror news.
No, that was cut it out.
I know what it is.
Get it? Get
It's-
it, Lydia? Do you get it, Lydia? Are you?
She's seen Full House. She has.
Yes, I've seen Full House.
I will not do it on the podcast, but man, I could do a really good Ranger Joe.
Good.
The
Good,
doll, the Woody doll or whatever it was.
Woody doll.
Yeah, he was a. What was he? He was a
Chipmunk?
a beaver, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. What? Yep, that's it. Beaver.
Yeah, I could
All
do
right.
a really killer one.
Guys, picture it. It's 1958. And horror was mostly, at this point, in the 50s, late 50s, sci-fi, right? We started getting into our sci-fi in space, monster movies. And out comes the little engine that could, Hammer, to bring horror back to more a visceral thrill, but also keep it classy and, beautiful. And sex it up and throw out some violence. Because, guys, when horror of Dracula came out, believe it or not, this thing was, like, shocking. This, and I think Hammer's Frankenstein got X ratings
What?
upon their release.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Frankenstein did. I don't quite know if this one did, but oh yeah, no, it was given an X rating. Yep, that's what I thought. The film was originally released in the UK. They gave it an X because the blood that we see, and especially the end, yeah, X rating. This was a shocking film when this came out.
Have you guys ever went through the thought exercise of like taking a movie from today and playing it to an audience in like the 50s? And when I first thought about that, I was like, oh, the Avengers, like they would really like literally think the Hulk exists. But now imagine taking a movie like Saw and showing it to an audience in 1958. They would probably cry.
Yeah, this movie was pretty tame, I would say.
Extremely tame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say it's not spooky, and not to say it's not atmospheric as fuck.
It's pretty cool,
gorgeous.
but like...
Yeah, it's not horrific, but in 1958 it was. This was the first time that we saw... So this movie was shot in color in 1958, and we saw the red blood, and it's bright red blood. We see the red blood falling, at the beginning, then throughout the movie. First time we saw Dracula with fangs, these are like big deals. So, have either of you seen this before?
Yes.
Okay.
Not that I can recall.
I've seen it on. I've put it on any chance that I get, like around spooky season. I usually put it on as like a background kind of thing. Like, I don't pay too much attention to it, but I just like, the spooky vibes. I mean, I've seen, I know the story of Dracula like the back of my hand by this point, so it's just one of those things I like to put on. But I'm not super familiar with the Hammer movies, so when I see them on, I try to put them on. But I definitely need to dive into these movies.
So, my introduction to Hammer was around junior high, or so. I was around junior high. AMC used to have these marathons during Halloween, and there was one Halloween where they played. The main event towards the end of the night was Todd Browning's Dracula and James Whale's Frankenstein. But getting to there, they were showing all these Hammer films that I had never seen. So they showed this one. They showed Hammer's Frankenstein, the horror of Frankenstein, and then they showed one of the sequels of Frankenstein as well. But that was my first glimpse of Hammer, and I was like, "What is this?" Because it's awesome. It's awesome. It's just like I was like, "This is different than the monster movies I thought." I grew up with the Universal horror, the Universal monsters, so I was seeing this for the first time. And that's when I got introduced to Hammer. Then after that, I sought them out. The next year, the sequel to this movie, The Brides of Dracula, which is a fucking straight up banger we've got to do. Because it rocks. The first time I watched that movie, I was like, this might be the fucking best vampire movie ever. This one's awesome. But I loved this movie as well. So that was my introduction to Hammer. And then, I own 4 of these Dracula movies, and I own the Frankenstein, and then I own Hammer's The Mummy, which is also phenomenal. Because, guys, here's a secret to these Hammer movies. They're so good because most of them were written by Jimmy Sangster. Most of them were directed by Terrence Fisher. And most of them starred Peter Cushing and fucking Christopher Lee. How could they be bad? You know what I mean? You have Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. You can watch those guys read a phone book and be like, yeah, interesting. I believe it. So let's start with this, talking about the production design, because that's a huge part of the Hammer horror film. What do you guys think of the production design on this?
It was gorgeous.
Yeah. I was wondering, because I did not look anything up about this, but I was looking at the design and the set, and I was wondering, did they film this in a castle?
I believe the castle was, let's see, doesn't really say. It looks like the castle was forced perspective. Probably. I mean, there was obviously the interior of the castle, I believe, are sets with matte paintings behind.
Yes.
But they're stunningly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Dracula's castle is amazing.
Did you guys notice that you could see their breath when they were talking? It was freezing cold in there?
Yeah, because they filmed it during the winter. Yeah, they filmed it in where was I? Just saw it. Principal photography started in November 11th of 57 and came to an end on Christmas Eve of 57. And then they special effects were wrapped on January of 58. So yeah, they filmed it in the dead of winter in England.
It must have been pretty cold in there because
It gets cold.
But yeah, the rest of it is so gorgeous. The only thing that was kind of I couldn't stop paying attention to was the lighting, which seemed like they just put a bunch of giant lights everywhere.
Well, yeah, it's brightly lit, but I love the lighting in the movie, especially in the castle, because we have some candlelit lights and stuff, and it's just this just beautiful. It looks like they spent millions of dollars, right? This movie was made, guys, for 81,000 pounds. So, under 100,000 pounds they made this movie.
Wow.
81,000 pounds.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the production design is just it. That's part of the Hammer uh, um, atmosphere is the production design because that's why it makes it look so classy. It looks like it's like really expensive and they just get so much out of so little. Um, but those, yeah, that cast. I love the layout of the castle too, like how he has to cross that little bridge and stuff to get into it, and Dracula's little like layer down, like his little. I like that. It's really cool. And then the library looks cool. That they go up those stairs. That shit's awesome. Um, so what? Here's an interesting thing. If you've never seen this movie, Derek, you'd never seen this. So this movie actually has a twist at the very beginning of the movie. If you know the story of Dracula, you know, we meet Jonathan Harker and we're like, oh, okay, so we know how this goes. Jonathan Harker is in the castle. He escapes. He tells everybody about Dracula, blah, blah, blah. And then they immediately turn a twist on you like 10 minutes into the movie and they're like, oh, by the way, I know he's Dracula. I'm a vampire hunter.
Yeah.
And-
No. So that did catch me off guard because we're introduced to, and I don't think we know it at the time, but like the bride of Dracula, and she's asking for help, and he just like completely blows her off because he's a librarian, and I left like when he was kind of shunned her away, and Dracula came and got her. I was just like, wow, this guy, he's terrible. But then he goes and he writes in his diary, and you realize that he is there to stop the terror that is Dracula, and you're just like, okay, that's redeemable.
yeah. Yeah. And I like the actor that plays Harker as well. He's like really likable, like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get behind him. Um, but then we're introduced to Dracula, which is Christopher Lee. And guys, what do you think about Christopher Lee as Dracula?
So amazing.
Unpopular opinion: the first scene that he's in is a little underwhelming. It gets better as the movie goes on, but he didn't come in with a presence about it. You know what I mean? That
So
makes any sense?
he plays the part initially understated as a gentleman, but where
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Lee shines is he's played Dracula like nobody had ever seen before. When he shows up with red eyes,
Mm-hmm.
blood dripping down his face, and acting like a wild animal, nobody does it better. It's like he's the feral Dracula, and he can play the gentlemanly Dracula. He's amazing. But the star of the film, of course, is Peter Cushing as Dr. Van Helsing, and he is phenomenal.
Ah, yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I think he's my personal favorite Van Helsing. I think he's the best Van Helsing of all of the Dracula movies because he gets to play this character multiple times, so we get to kind of grow with him. But he's also like just the warmest of the of the Van Helsings, the most outwardly heroic of the Van Helsings. He's very, very cool. What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, I agree with that. He is such a cool Van Helsing. He's such a cool actor to watch. Like, just you're it's just kind of like in awe of him, really. Like, he's just the best.
He is. He has some great choices, like the scene where he's in his office and he's has like the dictaphone and he's like talking about stuff and just his little acting choices, the stuff he plays with while he's doing it, the business, and then the way you just believe it. You're like, okay, yeah, he's this guy. Yeah, he carries the whole movie. You're in it because you're like, okay, I'll watch him. I'll watch him do whatever.
Yeah.
And
Now, he definitely. I mean, even from the get go, he has like a cool presence about him. So I 100% agree with that, and I felt that.
yeah, the bit which we'll get to here in a minute, but like after Harker is bitten by the which did that throw you for a loop, Derek, when Harker was bitten?
Yeah, a lot of
So
it. This story was kind of different than any other Dracula story.
definitely.
Like in general, I mean, even now,
Mhm.
It was a really cool take on it though. So yeah, when he got bit, I was like, oh shit. And not only did he get bit, but I mean, it's not too long after that. Like, you know, he gets 86th. I think that's the term. I'm hip.
Yeah, and you're right there in the 50s. Um, um, not only does he, get bit and he's, turning into a vampire, but I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, so he's going to be cured, right? They're going to cure him, and then they're like, oh no, okay, oh, all right, wow. It's because he goes into he goes to defeat Dracula, and he stakes the bride in a really cool scene, and she turns into that like gross, old woman because she's so old and stuff, which was shocking
Well, now we know
in
what
'58.
Jamie's take on old people is.
No,
That
only
gross old
because
lady. Did you guys see her?
oh, she's so hideously old. No, but that was shocking in '58. The way that the way the blood was all over her, and we see him stake her. That was like that's some fucked up shit in the '50s.
Okay, so obviously we would not have had a movie, but what a rookie mistake to one, go into Dracula's crypt so close to more like a thumbs down
Nightfall. Yeah,
nightfall, and two, why wouldn't you start with him?
yeah, because we wouldn't have a movie. That's the reason.
I
Yeah,
know, I get it. I'm just saying, little bit of a blood hole, but I was like, why'd you stake her? Because then he immediately wakes up and looks at the window as it's
I love that
the
shot of him
sunset.
looking at the window and watching the sunset, and then he's like
Yeah,
smiles to himself like, "Oh, buddy, you're fucked."
yeah,
Big mistake, pal.
exactly.
Um, I love Van Helsing in the like in that like diner, in like the little when he goes into like the
Hmm.
little shop, little food shop, and that whole interaction with the locals and stuff is really cool
It is.
because that's when we get introduced to him, and just like the guy's like, we don't take kindly, you need to mind your own beeswax around here or whatever. And you're like, the fuck, guy? You're just cool with Dracula picking off all your folks, I guess? What the hell's your problem? Um, but when he goes to the castle and finds, you know, Harker in the grave is a great bit. Because it's just like that shocking end to that story. You're like, oh well, he is fucking really dead. Okay,
Yep.
we're not meeting him. So we're introduced to our other supporting character, Arthur how's he pronounce his name? Holmwood. Arthur Holmwood and Mina. So Arthur and Mina in this version are our leads because they just flip flop things, right? So Lucy, as Harker's wife, is Dracula's first victim as opposed to Lucy being Mina, right? They just switched
Hmm.
the names and characters. But Arthur Holmwood, you knew who that is, Derek.
Yeah. It's Alfred.
It is. It's Michael Gough. Yeah.
Hmm.
The first time when I watched it, the
Took
first
me a
time I was
minute
like,
to recognize him.
dude, it
As
took
soon as he
me
spoke,
no
I was
time.
like,
As
"Is
soon as
that a
I
young
saw him, I was
Alfred?"
like, fucking Alfred's in this?
I
What is
I
going
was
on?
watching I was watching it and I saw him for a while and then at one point he like turned his head to the profile and I was like, I think I know who that is.
I think that's Alfred.
Yeah, he's just so young. Like I don't think I've
Oh,
ever,
yeah. Yeah.
noticed him that young, He's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
Alfred.
He's always Alfred. He's always been Alfred. What are you talking about? He was born 87.
Was he also in Sleepy Hollow?
He is.
Or am I
Yes.
okay, I was like
No,
that just
he
came to
is.
me.
Sleepy
Yeah,
Hollow
he's
had a
in
lot
quite a
of
few Tim Burton movies,
people.
obviously.
Yeah.
But because of Hammer, that's why Tim Burton cast him as Alfred because
Oh
he knew
yeah.
him from the Hammer movies.
Yep.
So Arthur's great. I like Arthur. I like Arthur and Mina. They're very good. They're interesting characters. Arthur because he's like the like the prudish well, thanks for telling me about my sister's husband dying, but beat feet. Especially after
Mhm.
Lucy dies, which is great. I love it's the whole bit from the novel, where she's trying to. He tells him to get the the old bit, put garlic around here, all this stuff, and she's like, "Oh, but I can't handle it." And the dumbass woman's like, "Oh, I'll get you, child," and frees her to get neck molested by old Dracula.
I've never heard it quite phrased that way. Might be my
But
new
man,
way of saying it. Hey, man, you want to go neck molest some people?
I don't think anybody actually says, "Hey, do you want to go bite people's necks?" Either, Derek.
If you were a vampire, I'm just saying.
If you were a vampire.
If you were a vampire, that's how I would talk to my fellow vamps.
Yeah, you'd say, "Hey, vamps, let's go 86 some people by neck molesting them."
See, you're writing the movie right now.
Count Chocula.
But it has to be. But it has to be Steve Buscemi with a hat backwards.
Of course.
Yes.
Holding a skateboard, yeah. Hey, fellow vamps. You want to go neck molest some humans?
He should be Van Helsing.
Dressed, trying to...
trying to be in disguise.
Trying to infiltrate the
vampires. Unbelievable.
The vampire lair.
I love it.
It's the best. And Count Chocula's like, "I want to drink your milk."
Where are your marshmallows?
Dude, if I were a millionaire, we would make that movie.
Blueberry, where are you?
It'd be the most random thing you've ever seen in your life.
It would be something. It'd be something. I mean, I would rather you use the money to fund our film that we're currently shooting, but that's neither here nor there. So, what do you guys think of the whole twist of Dracula basically living in their cellar?
That was so good, even for a movie back. Like that got me. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Damn, Gina.
Damn, girl, how you do that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's a great bit because Dracula lures Mina to the funeral home essentially, where the coffin was dropped off, and then basically seduces her, bites her, and then moves into their cellar so he can continue to feed on her. And that scene where they're outside, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I really want to talk about Lucy's staking scene. Because it's so good, you guys. This is what Mel Brooks took from for Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah. Yeah. The gusher. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But
oh
just
my gosh, that
the
was
setup
the
of it and everything. Yeah. I love the Lucy scenes in this because she is creepy and sexy because she's, voluptuous and whatnot. But she's so creepy, luring these kids and the kids are just they're wanting their Aunt Lucy and stuff. It's kind of heartbreaking. And when Van Helsing shows up, it's such a hero moment. He just pops out with the cross and burns her head and she runs in. And I love that he goes and takes the coat off and wraps it around the little girl and puts the cross around her neck and has that sweet little interaction. You're just like, you're a good man, Van Helsing. That's what I mean. He's the most heroic action hero of these Van Helsings. But what do you guys think of that scene?
Yeah, I like that scene a lot. I was really in it at that point. I guess I don't know. I guess I forgot that he pops up like that, and I was like, this little girl is gonna definitely get killed. And then even when they're like, here, have my coat, and wraps the coat around her, and is like, there, you look like a big bear now. Be warm and don't go anywhere. Just stay right here.
And then when he says,
she's still gonna get killed.
I love when he says, if you look that way, you'll see the sunrise.
Yeah, great scene.
Yeah.
Before you even get the staking, it's like that in itself was so good.
And then you had, and then the staking itself is good because it's Arthur's blood sister. It's his actual sister.
Mhm.
And Van Helsing says, hey, look, so we can keep her alive. And we can just follow her and she'll lead us to Dracula. And he's like, I can't let her, live like this another moment. And so he's like, okay, well, let's go get the girl home. It's too close to daylight for her to come out. So let's go take the girl home, and then we've got to do a terrible thing. And he fucking just stakes the shit out of her, and Arthur's like over there, like not being able to handle it. Yeah.
I totally forgot about the dead and loving it scene of like. That's so funny. I can't believe I forgot about that.
And this is just a product of the time, but like that oversell of like him holding onto the wall and hugging it. I was just like, 1958.
Like, pull yourself together.
To be fair, I don't know. Maybe we'd react like that if we watched our loved one turn into a vampire and get staked right in front of us. I would definitely wouldn't look.
I probably would have like went.
Yeah, I was like, why did he have to be there for that? Like, why couldn't he have just?
Because he wanted to see it. He wanted to make sure the job was done, and then Van Helsing wanted him to be there afterwards so he could show him that she's at rest. Because after the staking's done, after he's staked her, she goes back to her actual body.
Yeah, you're right. That was pretty cool.
And that was to show him that she's at rest.
Yeah, there was a lot at stake. Anyway, let's go.
So that scene where they're outside, they're trying to capture, Dracula after they discovered that, Mina's been bit once before. I love that, the fact that they're outside and they're just waiting for her to come out of the room or for Dracula to come into the room. And she goes out downstairs and she just sees him standing there waiting for her. And it's that classic, she wants him, but she is afraid of him kind of deal. So it's like the sensuality of the vampire. This is like when they really started playing that up, is these movies. The sensuality of it, and it's so good because he comes in like and then first suave, and then turns into like a monster and attacks her. And can you imagine going into the the house and you just see her laying there like blood everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
And that bit where she says, "Well, she told us not to go in this she doesn't want me going in the cellar," and Van Helsing immediately clicks in his mind. And I love how he runs down there and then he sees the coffin and Dracula starts to come in like he's just got back and his roommate's home. Oh! Slams the door. Ah! So, Derek, you said you liked that twist.
I did. It was surprising. I didn't expect it, and so that's what made it all the better. Because I remember when I was watching it, as soon as it happened, and like the shock on his face, like the realization of he's been here the whole time, or at least recently, was really great.
Yeah, it's a good reveal, and then the chase that ensues is fun because guys, this third act, this ending, rips. I love this ending. Where they chase him down to Castle Dracula, and he's trying to bury her before the sun comes up, because if he buries her and she stays in the ground and he sleeps, she'll become one of the living dead. She'll become a vampire. And Van Helsing just tears ass after him, and we get the showdown between the two, and we get the death of Dracula, which, in my estimation, is one of the very best Dracula deaths put on film. It's just the best. The way it plays out and the actual aftermath of it is... What do you guys think?
It's pretty intense. Like, the music and the blood red eyes are honestly, like, the best thing. Like, there's something about that, and his face specifically is so scary.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Also, the special effect of him, like the effect the sun has on him, like
Yeah,
how it like completely
Yeah.
dissolves and
especially in
destroys.
'58, amazing.
I know. I agree. Yeah, for the time, like it kind of it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to look so good.
It
They
did
did
look
a
Yeah,
great
good.
job.
and it's like just the way he plays out is so cool too. Like Van Helsing, like spotting the sun coming up and then running across the long table and pulling the
Mhm.
blinds down is such a cool shot. And then him using the two candlesticks as a cross to push him back into the thing is just so fucking awesome. It's so good.
Mhm.
That the ending of this movie, the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, so that's how you end a fucking Dracula movie. That's how you do it. Because I love after he has the full meltdown in his hand over the face and he's like just melted off. We get the shot of the ring and like just the his ashes just blow away because Van Helsing opens the
Yeah,
window and it just blows away to nothingness. It's just clothes. What do you guys think of this whole
pretty
ending?
good.
I was like, I would have picked up that ring.
Or
And
pop
Jake
that.
was, yeah, Jake was like, no, leave that. Don't touch that ring. It's like, no, it's mine.
I would have buried it in a consecrated grave or something,
Yeah, so Jake has the right idea. Don't
surrounded by
touch that
holy
ring.
water.
I'd have picked it up.
Because there's some stuff that happens in the next Dracula movie. Because Christopher Lee played Dracula, I think 7 times, maybe 8.
Really?
Hammer. Yeah, Peter Cushing plays Van Helsing 4 times, I think. So, well, no, 5 times because he plays this one, Brides of Dracula, and then Dracula 1978, Satanic or the Satanic Rites of Dracula maybe, and then the Golden Vampires. So yeah, he plays him 5 times. So we have a lot of those to go through, and also Peter Cushing is Dr. Frankenstein in the Frankenstein movies, and he's fucking next level good in that too, of course.
Nice.
But that's Horror of Dracula. Also, before we talk about, we mentioned to that score because you mentioned it. I love the score to this. I love the bum 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 bum. Every time you see Dracula, it's almost like it's saying Dracula every time he's on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So cool. What do you guys think of the score?
It's intimidating. It's powerful. It's spooky.
It is. It's classic. Like that's when you think of a monster movie from that era. That's kind of the score you think of.
Even the
So,
quiet moments are
mhm.
pretty powerful, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is. It's very. I mean, that's of its time. The score, that bombastic score,
Mm-hmm.
bom 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 bom. But something to be said about it. It works. It works. And that was Horror of Dracula, or as they call it in the UK, Dracula. What do you guys think?
You know what?
How we
I'm
feel?
gonna go. I've
Okay.
got the most unpopular opinion that has ever been,
Okay.
and I want to say it's super sassy. I side with Dracula on this, man. That guy walked up in his house and he killed his woman. Now, granted, he was keeping her there against her will. That's beside the point. But he walked up in that place and he killed his woman. So what's he gonna do? Walk the earth alone for the next millennia? No, he goes and tries to find himself a new bride. I'd have done the same thing.
Keep Derek away from school grounds and unsupervised women.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Everybody's getting neck molested around here.
Derek, we can't see your background because you have a nice green screen, so maybe your basement is being,
Oh yeah, if you see some movement back there, don't ask questions. It's fine. So I think I've said it before, and I'm glad that neither one of you made the joke. I feel like now we're past it.
Yep, this is in
But
color. We knew.
I think I've told you my I don't like watching older movies. This one was pretty good. It was pretty good. I liked the story. I really liked the story. I thought the take that they had was like the differences in it that made sense. It wasn't like convoluted, and it really helped like move the story along. The acting was great. The set designs were really great, uh, and also, I mean, you know, an X rating. Are you flipping kidding me? So the impact that this movie had on cinema history is pretty profound. So I'm gonna give this movie an 8 because damn it, it's an actual classic.
What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, I agree with all those points. It is. It's a classic. It's a good one. I think I'm gonna give it a 7 because I want to leave some room. And like I said, I had a pretty terrible day today, so I wasn't in the best mood watching this. I really wanted to like dive in and just like have like candles lit and like just vibe. I wanted to vibe, but I didn't quite get that. So, but I do want to leave room for the next one. You said it was the Brides.
Brides of Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
It's
one's
at another
gonna
level.
slam. So I'm gonna leave room for that. So 7 for me.
This is it's 8.5 for me. It's one of my favorite Dracula movies. It might be this. I mean, we'll get to Brides of Dracula when we get to that, but Bram Stoker's Dracula and Bela Lugosi's, Todd Browning's Dracula. Those three. This one might be my right there with Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like it's really, really good. And it plays really well, and it's a lot of fun, and has great performances. It's one of my favorite vampire movies. So yeah, 8.5. Now, guys, it's time to Atkinize Horror of Dracula. Who would Tom Atkins play? I mean, he'd play Arthur, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Arthur probably.
Yeah,
I could see him in that
we
role.
can't replace Peter Cushing or Christopher
No.
Lee. So,
No.
yeah. Sorry, Michael Goff, you got replaced by Atkins. Everybody gets Atkinized every once in a while. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Yep. Yep.
What do you guys think of that? Fucking. We didn't talk about it, but that scene where he's trying to fucking, get the information from the stagecoach, and he just keeps saying, no, I can't give it away, and then Arthur pulls out some fucking bills and starts popping them on, and then he's like, well, you are a doctor. It is an emergency. Love that.
That's funny. Yeah, I also like when the kid, like the messenger kid, goes to Mina and is like, "Oh, your husband's here," and she's like, "No, my husband should be like over there by now." And he's like, "Well, he is." He's just like goes.
Yeah, he says. She's like, "My husband's not, or Arthur's not here." He's like, "The guy that told me he's Arthur. His name's Arthur Homewood. And I talked to Arthur Homewood. I talked to was right here. Check you later." You're like,
Yeah.
all right. I like that guy doing the toll booth. The toll booth gag is really funny too. Dracula smashes through it, and then he spends all that time repairing it just for Van Helsing to ramp through it as well. That's pretty good. All right, Derek. It's your turn to pick. What are we watching next week?
So I thought long and hard and didn't pre-plan this whatsoever. I think we're gonna go with a classic, in my book at least. It's set on Halloween Day, I think.
No, it's the day before.
All Hallows
Initiative night.
Yeah, dang it! I should have thought about this before I started into the intro. You know what? We're gonna watch. We're gonna watch the original, the best one. We're gonna watch The Crow, Brandon Lee, and his final performance.
Nice.
Where's The Crow streaming? Do you know that, Derek? Since you don't know what date the movie's set on.
No, I don't know actually, because I own this movie.
It is streaming
so I didn't bother to look it up.
Pluto TV for free. It's streaming on Paramount Plus, YouTube, the Roku channel, Amazon, Google, Apple TV, and Fandango at home. It unfortunately is not streaming on Fubo, which is unfortunate. All things to be
Jamie's
streaming
favorite.
on Fubo. Fubo.
We need
All
to
right,
just
Jackie.
insert a clip. We need to insert a clip of Jamie just laughing hysterically at that name for like 10 minutes.
Fubo. You know what we haven't talked about in a while is I'm just gonna throw it out there. We're just gonna have apropos of nothing, but we haven't talked about the mailman just randomly waving in a while.
Oh man, throwback!
Forgot about that guy.
The
Dang,
best.
that was so funny. I might just like rewatch that movie.
Bonus points if you remember what the movie's called.
Let us know in the
Comment down below.
comments.
What movie are we referencing? It's a classic, one of our classic episodes. Derek, you got a story for us? Every week we do this.
I was thinking. I mean, you know, I got lots of stuff going on in my mind. I can tell
We
you.
should get together and reenact that scene.
We need to. Derek can be the mailman for sure.
Yes, and me and Jamie will just be like, huh?
And then I'll say to you, I'll put my arm around you and say, I'm glad I was your teacher.
I can tell you about the time that we almost caught. Okay, I got one. This is so ridiculous.
All right.
So when I was super. Yeah, I was like 6 or 7. Anyway, I was 6 or 7, and this was about the time that I learned that you could. Hopefully, this isn't a shocker to anybody. You could use a magnifying glass to catch things on fire.
Oh, yep.
So we, you know, being the super highly functional and intelligent kids that we were, we got a paper cup, put some gasoline in it, and took a magnifying glass, and we were trying to catch that cup on fire.
Oh no!
I know, right? What could go wrong? So luckily, we were not successful at that. So like we had caught like a piece of paper on fire and stuff like that, and then we're just like, oh, you know, natural progression. We'll go get this cup of gasoline. So we're trying to catch it on fire right as my my friend at I was over at his uncle's house. We'll just call it that. So we were over at his uncle's house, and his mom came home.
Weird.
It's kind of a weird story in and of itself, but I don't want to go into it. And so we're trying to do this, and his mom pulls up, man, and I've never seen anybody so flippin' irate coming over to like yell at us and berate us. Now, as a parent, I could see how that would be super scary. You know, if something had happened, like we were young kids and just stupid. So don't do that if you're a young kid and you're watching this randomly. Don't do that. But yeah, so we almost caught the garage on fire because we were doing it right next to the garage to make it work.
Jeez Louise, that's a special story, Derek.
It is a special story.
You don't play with magnifying glasses, kids. Only use them to get clues, to read small things, and if you're trying to help Derek go to the bathroom.
Oh man, that was brutal. Next time I play with gasoline and magnifying glasses, I'm gonna be at your house.
All right,
so this is I got another little story, and this is just super cute since you brought up clues. So this is really cool. I'm pretty sure that Quincy, myself, and Clark are directly responsible for this couple having a child. Pretty sure. So it was it wasn't during COVID. Was it during COVID? Either way, so we had taken Clark out on like a Saturday morning, and we went and got breakfast, and he really wanted to go to the park, so we went to this park, and there was a dog park right next to the park area. So we walked over there, And on this dog, oh my gosh, this is so cute. So on this dog park's like fenced in area, there was a giant blue paw print. And so this couple was standing there with their dog, like right next to the fence. And Clark, he's like 3. He goes, "Mom, Dad, look, it's a clue." It was the cutest thing ever. And that couple just melted
Yeah.
when they heard him say it. It was so, and he's a little blonde kid, adorable, and he says that, and
That is so cute.
it was really adorable. Even like in the moment, you're just like, I'm gonna remember this forever. It's so cute.
It's
That
so
is a
adorable.
cute story. It's turned out a little differently than what it sounded like when you said you or Quincy were directly responsible for a couple having a kid.
I mean, you know, if you're you,
That would
but
definitely
we
be
were.
responsible.
It sounds like
They definitely
it sounds
were
like Clark was responsible for
at that
somebody.
moment. They're like, okay, we got to have a kid.
Yeah,
They're adorable.
that's really cute. I mean, how innocent and sweet is that?
I know, kids,
A clue. Of course it's a clue.
little money pits, but they're cute.
Disease pools.
Like,
I mean, they are cesspools of germs for sure.
Yes. Yep. And
I don't want one, but I mean, it's
No.
cute.
They're cute. They're cute at a distance. Look,
At a distance. When they say
I will
cute
tell you
things, it's
this.
fun.
We'll tell you this. There's this new thing that I got Connor cracking up on today. So now Sarah's gonna hate it because I'm gonna do it all the time. I just did this like silly fake burp. So like I did
Oh,
this.
God.
I went "Buh," like that. He thinks it's the funniest thing. He's like, and then he hands me the cup. Do it again, Dad. And I'm like, "Buh."
Dude, Ellie, I put Ellie down for bed the other night, and I did it again tonight. And both times she's like, "Dada, I want to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but I want to say Baba instead." So we'll be like, she'll sing it to me, Twinkle Twinkle Little Baba, and I'll pretend like it's like, oh, how did you do that? Anyway, it's really cute, and it gets her every time. She just giggles uncontrollably. It just, it's whatever.
That's adorable.
It is adorable.
That's like a little jump scare for a kid.
It is.
Speaking of jump scares, I think Connor got scared of this movie, by the way. I was watching the rest of it, and
Oh no.
there's just like the intense music started, and he just saw Dracula, and he kind of ran up to Sarah like, and I'm like, oh no.
That's where it all
He ran to
starts,
me,
right
and
there.
I picked him up. I said, it's not scary. It's fine. And that'll wrap up this week's edition of Screen Bloody Movies. Now, guys, this is very important. Linked below is the what do you call it, Derek? What's it called? The pre-page? Pre-launch? Pre-launch. So linked below is the pre-launch page for Secret Admirer. So be sure to click on that link, sign up for email, and then you'll get updated once we hit actual launch, and you can go and see what the tiers are to invest in Secret Admirer and help us make our movie that we've been talking about for 2 years. Help us do it, guys. It's been 10 years in the making. It's on the way. We've got some cast news coming up that's going to be announced. You can find that on our Facebook, which is also in the description. You'll see all of that information. We'll also start sending videos here on the channel, so watch for those. But we're going to have cast announcements, crew announcements. We're going to have all the tiers, what you can get if you do invest. And we'll be ready to shoot this movie in April. So it is happening. It's very exciting. Derek and I have been hard at work on this thing. So it's on the way, right, Derek?
Yeah, and just as an FYI, we're going to be we're selling signed autograph boxes of Count Chocula.
We're not doing that. That is not a thing we're doing. First of all, because we don't own the rights to Count Chocula, so we can't do that. But we can have a new cereal.
Resell.
We'll have a new cereal called Count Dumbass, and it'll have Derek's picture on it, and we'll it'll be the best. So stay tuned for all that, and be sure to follow us, like I said, on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us, go to the website at HiLaProductions.com. You can follow us also each on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDogleyMaster, Lydia Spooky, and me at Racket. So be sure to visit the pre-launch page for sure, because that's exciting stuff. So next week, get the old remote and watch The Crow so we can talk about it and discuss what's new with that. And then we'll get ready for our Halloween Spooktacular the very next week. It's going to be good. We know what we're doing. It's exciting. So until next week, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.